There are 15 cast iron pans that could be worth a small fortune in 2026, and you may well have one hanging in an outbuilding right now without the faintest idea. Not the pretty copper the family already argues over. I mean the black, rusted, forgotten skillet on a nail in the shed, the one propping a door open, the one nobody has cooked in since your grandfather passed. Every pan tonight is real, and the collectors chasing them are real. And the one at number 1, saved for last, is a plain old frying pan that has sold for $8,000 to $10,000. By the end of this, you will know exactly what to check on every pan in the house, and I would not let one go to the scrap man until you have. Let me be honest with you before we start, because false hope helps nobody, and I have watched it hurt families. Most old cast iron is worth about what you would guess, which is very little. A common skillet is a $30 to $80 pan, and I won't pretend otherwise. But here is what 40 years in the trade taught me. In almost every kitchen I ever had cause to value, there were 1 or 2 pieces worth more than all the rest put together, and the family never knew which. The men who did know said nothing, paid a few pounds for the lot, and said even less on the way to the van. Now, before we carry on, let me say one thing. The support my channel has had lately has been overwhelming, and I mean that. So here's what I've decided. I'm not putting ads on these videos. You've given me your time, and I won't have it interrupted. If you'd like to support my channel, there's one way. You can scan the code on screen now with your phone's camera to get my book. I've put everything I know into one book, the Household and Collectibles Price Guide, 2027 edition. Every common item you might own, how to value it, and what it actually sells for. It even tells you where and how to sell it, who buys it, what they'll pay, and which route to take for which object. To get it, and everything I know, it's over at my website, malcolmashby.com. That's MALCOLMASHBY.com. Right, let's carry on. Let me give you the 3 things that separate an ordinary pan from a valuable one, because they run through every item tonight. The first is the cooking surface. Run a finger inside a modern pan and it feels like fine sandpaper, straight from the sand mold. The old makers polished that surface slick as a window pane, because no housewife in 1910 would carry home a rough one, and one by one they stopped to save a few pennies. So a smooth, glassy interior is your first clue. The second is weight. A modern 12-inch pan beside one from the 1920s, the old one feels almost hollow in the hand. The third lives underneath. Before about 1910, the iron was poured through a channel called a gate, then the tab snapped off and the scar filed smooth, and that scar, the gate mark, is the fingerprint of a genuinely old pan. 2 quick dating rules to carry with you. If a pan reads Made in USA, it was almost certainly poured after 1960 when the law required it, and a raised ring around the underside is a heat ring, which generally means before about 1940. One last thing, the size number cast into a pan has nothing to do with inches. It matched the hole on the stovetop, and a number 8 is not 8 inches. Number 15. The unmarked smooth bottom skillet. No name, no logo, nothing but perhaps a number and a letter, and almost everybody passes it by because they are hunting a name. But the great makers, Wagner and Griswold among them, both ran unmarked lines on purpose, the branded pans to the department stores and the same iron with no logo to the cheaper shops. 2 prices for 1 pan. The tell on an unbranded Wagner is the lettering, because Wagner never abbreviated a word, spelling out 8-inch skillet in flat block print with no maker's name near it. A common unmarked pan is a $50 to $150 object, so this is not the jackpot, but it is where the habit begins. Your test tonight. Feel inside for that machined smoothness. Look for words spelled out in full rather than abbreviated, and make sure the bottom is not a rough, pebbly casting. Number 14 is the one half of you already have in the house. Number 14, early Lodge from before the modern rough finish. Lodge is the last of the old American makers still running, so people assume every Lodge is a common shelf pan. Most are. But Lodge did not stamp its name until the late 1970s, so the older ones came out blank, and what dates them is the notches, 3 small gaps in the heat ring at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. Collectors call them 3-notch lodges from the 1940s into the 70s, and there is no helper handle until the middle 70s. A clean 3-notch pan in the right size runs into the low hundreds. Your test tonight. Count the notches in the heat ring, note whether there is a helper handle, and read the size number and the abbreviation where a name should be. Number 13 gets thrown on the scrap pile more than almost anything I handle. Number 13, Birmingham stove and range, and that is Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, England. Their century line is plain and unmarked, and they carried on casting a heat ring into the 1960s, long after everyone else stopped, which fools people on age. What names them is the handle. There is a sharp raised ridge running off the bottom of the handle that carries on into the side of the pan, and nobody else did that. The heat ring is solid all the way round with no notches, and they usually cast 2 letters underneath, the size and a mold code. Most run $30 to $80, but a clean large one reaches the low hundreds. Your test tonight, look for the ridge running off the handle into the pan, a solid heat ring with no notches and the 2 letters underneath. Number 12 is the pan that hides behind a more famous name. Number 12, Sidney hollow ware. Here is the trouble, because Wagner was made in that same town of Sidney, Ohio, so people read the town, cry Wagner and price the thing wrongly. Sidney hollow ware often carries only a size number and none of the words spelled out that a Wagner would have, and the pan sits a touch heavier with a plainer handle. A common one is $40 to $150, so this entry is about not being fooled by the town name into a Wagner price. Your test tonight. Look for a size number with no words spelled out, a plainer and heavier handle than a Wagner, and remember that the town of Sidney on its own proves nothing. Number 11 is where the money begins to step up. Number 11, Wagner Ware from Sidney, Ohio, with a heat ring. Wagner ran from 1891 to about 1959, and their logo went through a parade of versions, so you can date a pan simply by reading the bottom. You want the words Wagner Ware and Sidney with a small letter O beside it, and the raised heat ring lifts the good ones, since a heat ring means before about 1940, and no heat ring means later and cheaper. One warning worth its weight. There is a fancy Wagner logo with 1891 cast right on it, and that is a centennial reissue poured in 1991, a modern pan in an old costume worth scrap. A common number 8 Wagner is $50 to $100, but the big sizes and early heat ring versions push into the low hundreds and beyond. Your test tonight. Look for a heat ring, the full words with Sidney and the little O and no country of origin marking, and do not be taken in by that 1891 costume. Number 10 wears the friendliest face in all of cast iron. Number 10, Favorite Piqua Ware of Piqua, Ohio. The name is cast in an arch with a curved line beneath it, reading like a little smiling face on the base of the pan. Favorite pans were poured thin and light even by the standards of the day, so if a skillet feels too light for its size, turn it over. The company was gone by the late 1930s, so there is only so much left, and good ones sell in the $100 to $300 range, the large sizes higher. Your test tonight. Look for the arch and the curved smile line beneath it, feel for an unusual lightness for the size, and tap the pan and listen for a clean ring. Number 9 is the one where a single stamp is the whole game. Number 9, Wapak with the Indian Head. Wapak hollow ware was a small maker in Wapak, Ohio, and on some pans they cast a Native American profile into the base. That mark is everything. The same pan without it is an $80 skillet. With it, 400 or 500, and the large sizes have gone past 1,000. But hear me, because that Indian head has been reproduced. A genuine one is crisp and finely cut, with a smooth machined surface, while a fake is soft and mushy, heavy and rough inside. Your test tonight. Look for crisp detail in the profile, a smooth machined interior, and a light casting with a size number. Number 8 is the one people finally recognize. Number 8, Griswold with the small block logo. Griswold ran out of Erie, Pennsylvania from the late 1800s until 1959, and the logo shape roughly dates the pan. The small block is the later everyday version, and most surviving Griswolds wear it. A number 8 in that logo is a $40 to $100 pan, and that is what makes it useful, because it is common enough that you will actually turn one up. The other tell, when the bottom is rusted past reading, is the handle. For Griswold cast a raised ridge up the back of it, and once you have felt it, you never mistake it. Your test tonight. Look for the ridge up the back of the handle, read the logo style, and set the pan flat and push the handle to check it. Quick word, if you've got any old things at home, don't do anything with them yet, not till you know what they're worth. My full price guide, every common item you might own and what it sells for, is over at my website malcolmashby.com. That's MALCOLM Ashby.com, or scan the code on your screen. Now back to it, but about size. Number 7, the oversized skillets, the number 14s and above. Every company sold a mountain of 8s and 10s, but the great hotel and ranch skillets came in far smaller numbers because few kitchens wanted a pan that heavy. A common maker in a common size is a $30 pan, but that same maker in a 14 or a 20 jumps to the low and middle hundreds on size alone. Your test tonight. Get interested the moment the size number climbs past 12, apply the usual checks of a smooth interior and a heat ring, and look hard for cracks, because the big ones took the most abuse. Number 6 is that Erie name again, wearing an older coat. Number 6, Griswold, with the large block logo and the word Erie. This is the earlier generation with bigger letters, and it is the difference between a $50 pan and a $300 pan on the same iron. The lettering is the whole of the value. Odd sizes push it further, because what nobody wanted then, nobody has now. Common sizes run in the low hundreds, and the 4-figure Griswolds you hear about are the rare sizes and odd shapes, not your everyday skillet. Your test tonight. Look for the large block lettering with the word Erie. Check the size number for anything other than 8 or 10, and set the pan down and spin it to test the base. Number 5 is only worth real money if it still wears its hat. Number 5, the deep chicken fryer with its matching lid. Griswold and Wagner both made deep skillets with a heavy self-basting lid, and the lid is where most of the value hides, which is a cruelty because the lid is the first thing every family loses. A fryer with no lid is a plain deep pan. The same fryer with the correct matching lid, sizes and logos agreeing, jumps into the hundreds. Your test tonight. Confirm the lid truly belongs with the same maker and size, look underneath for the self-basting drips cast into it, and check there is no crack in either piece. Number 4 is the one I have watched slip through more hands than any other, because it does not even look like a pan. Number 4, the rare gem and cornbread pans. To most people, these look like odd little muffin tins, so they are scrapped or sold for $1. But Griswold and a few others cast fancy baking pans, the corn stick pans shaped like little ears of corn, the Turk head, the wheat and corn designs, and the scarce patterns bring hundreds, the rarest into the low thousands. The whole value lives in the pattern number cast on the back, which is why you must turn the thing over before you decide what it is. Your test tonight. Flip it and read the back for a pattern number and a maker. Look for crisp, clean detail in the shapes and check for cracks between the cups. Number 3 is older than nearly everything we have named. Number 3, the gate-marked pans of the 1800s. Turn the pan over and look for a raised seam or filed ridge across the base, sometimes clean across, sometimes a stub. That is the scar where the maker snapped off the pour tab, and it places the pan between 1800 and 1910. Most carry no maker's name at all because so many came from small local foundries that never marked a thing, which is why they are scrapped. A gate-marked pan can be under $100 for a common skillet or several hundred for a good large one or unusual shape. Your test tonight. Look for the seam on the base, tap the rim and listen for a clean ring rather than a dull thud. And look for 3 little legs on the very oldest, which stood in the fireplace coals. Number 2 brings us to the doorstep of the summit. Number 2, the early Erie skillets, from before Griswold was Griswold. Before that famous block logo, the Erie foundry cast plain skillets marked simply Erie, some in a slanted script, and these sit just below the great prize. Gate-marked, poured thin, and wanted badly, good ones run into the hundreds and the low thousands, depending on size and marking. Your test tonight. Look for a plain or slanted Erie name with no block frame around it. Look for a gate mark, since a genuine one is 19th century iron, and expect a very thin, very light casting. And number 1, the highest prize of the night. Number 1, the genuine early Erie spider skillet. Before Griswold was Griswold, the Erie foundry cast a small run of skillets with a spider and its web standing up in relief on the base. Almost nobody bought them, almost none survived. Collectors count the known examples on their fingers, and good ones have brought $8,000 to $10,000 at auction. It is the top of the whole mountain, and you may pick through kitchens a lifetime and never lay a hand on one. Your test tonight. Look for a raised spider and web, crisp and finely cut. Look for a gate mark, since a real one is 19th century iron, and expect a very thin, very light casting. If you believe you have one, do not scrub it and do not put it in a car boot sale. Take it to somebody who knows. Now let me say a firm word about condition, because it decides everything. A crack kills the value stone dead, not lowers it, kills it. Even a hairline turns a $500 pan into scrap, so tap the rim for a good pan rings like a bell and a cracked one thuds. Next, warp. Set the pan upside down on a flat table and push the handle, and if it spins like a top, the base is bowed and no collector wants it. Rust frightens people far more than it should, and dirt and grease cost you nothing, so do not despair over a filthy pan. But here is the one that hurts me most. Never grind or sand a pan smooth. I have seen a man take a grinder to a $200 skillet and turn it into a $40 one in 90 seconds because grinding wipes out the casting detail and every collector sees it across the room. And never soak a rare pan in lye before you have identified it. Read the mark first, identify, then clean, never the other way round. And this is the thing the whole video has been walking you towards. Nothing on tonight's list was precious when it was made. It was a frying pan, a Tuesday supper, an object so ordinary that nobody formed an opinion about it, which is exactly why it survived, shoved to the back of a cupboard while the pretty things were used to death. A house is sorted by sentiment, never by value, and the valuable pan is so often the ugly one nobody liked. What made it worth anything was survival, and survival comes down to whether somebody could be bothered to look properly before the bin bag went out. So tonight, go and look, with a torch and an afternoon. Check the pantry, the shed, that shelf in the garage nobody has touched in years, and turn every pan over. Look for the smooth base, the notches, the heat ring, the gate mark, and read the logo before the rust. Stop asking whether a thing looks valuable and ask 3 questions instead. Who made it? Is it complete and untouched? And how many others can possibly have survived? Those 3 questions are the whole of my 40 years, and you now have them. If this has you eyeing the pans in the kitchen already, press like before you go, because it truly does tell me to keep making these. And subscribe if you have not, because next time we go through the everyday kitchen tools and tins that people scrap by the box load, some worth more than the range they sat on. Then tell me in the comments which of these 15 you already know is in your house, and the one pan you have always wondered about, because I read every single one, and somebody watching tonight is going to find something. If anything today looked familiar, have a proper look before you sell a single thing. Everything's in my price guide over at malcolmashby.com, or scan the code on your screen. I'll leave it up for you.